I feel intimidated by AI. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like everybody else is figuring it out, but I'm not. But just like when cloud came out and everything else, and you and I would hypothesize on what's going to happen to cloud, everyone's doing that with AI now.
Real business winners are going to be outside the world of just the LLMs. It's going to be the stuff that, utilizes that.
Now it feels like there's technology that has been developed to solve a problem which the customers don't have yet. The challenge that I am seeing with AI is that we still don't know how it's going to help us make money, save money, all these great technology, but they're really struggling to get to market in a post-pandemic world. I want customers to be able to move faster, transform quicker. We got to change the game. Yo, thank you for tuning into our very first What the Future podcast. Here we're going to talk about cool things like AI, tech sales, and the human aspect of it all. My name is Sandesh Patel. I've spent 25 plus years as a tech sales nerd, recently founder of reconnect. Our objective is very simple. We want to connect AI buyers with AI sellers. The value that has been created by these AI startups is absolutely mind-blowing. However, they've struggled getting to market, and that's where reconnect plays. So I'm teaming up with my good pal, Chris Brandt, one of the best tech evangelists I've ever met. And this is our first episode. It's a casual one. We're just catching up on life, and we're going to dive into reconnect. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let's go. We got to change the game.
All right. So we got Sandesh with us, back from the abyss. What's going on with Dish?
You said something to me, a while ago that just has been in my head, which is like, everyone's trying to figure out like what's going on with you. And I'm like, it's a fair question. So what has been going on? You've known me now for over a decade. What was going on? I know, crazy.
Yeah,
you know this to
crazy.
Be true because you saw it.
I've seen the good
9,
and the
10
bad.
years ago, the good and the bad. And that was a huge lesson for me. 9, 10 years ago, you and I were flying around the country, meeting with VCs, doing customer stuff, selling new emerging technologies, learning a crap ton, meeting great entrepreneurs, doing like really fun, cool stuff, right? And then you get the perks of the business on the sales side to play golf and go to these games, blah, blah, blah. So it was fun. That was the fun part. But
yeah,
as you know, after a while, I'm just like, is this what it's all about? Like, is this the best it gets? Like, I didn't feel that true joy. I didn't feel that like fulfillment,
inner satisfaction.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly. And look, don't get me wrong. Getting commission checks is great. It's a good feeling. You can take care of your family and all those kinds of things. But it was really more about when you and I would go to the Valley, we come out of a meeting and we'd learn something from somebody and have this amazing conversation. That was exciting to me, right? Yeah. But my wife was really frustrated with me, and I don't blame her. I was physically around, but mentally very often not. Even physically, you and I were traveling a lot. I was just unhealthy. I was working a lot. 7 days a week, blah, blah, blah. So that was like a midlife crisis, which I started just to do research. And what happened is I started to research what makes people happy. So I'm watching all these documentaries. I'm looking at all these YouTube videos. I'm trying to like study it, which led me to Jay Shetty. And I started watching his stuff on like having purpose and, all those kinds of things, which I dug into that further. And then I met my friend Vipin Goyal from high school in New York 9 years ago. You were there, and he was this very, very Ivy League accomplished entrepreneur himself, sold to Groupon and Harvard guy, everything. And he tells me he's met these monks and it's changed his life. And that's when we started talking about the ego. And that's how it all started. I met these guys, and these guys had Upbuild. At first everyone's like, oh, is that a cult? Which I can get, like first timer. I know you were Yeah. I remember you were questioning with those occults. But what was really neat, and like, look, man, fast forward 6, 7 years now, I have created this Sangha with these people there.
So wait, it was Sangha?
Sangha. Sangha is basically a community of people that come together for the purpose of like to talk about things, you know?
Okay.
And these people, what shocked me is you had investment bankers, you had hedge fund managers that had their own hedge fund, you got these attorneys that got their name, on the door. You have all these very highly accomplished people that are all curious about the same thing I am, which is what makes you happy, and how do we control our minds, you know? And so that led me to the ego conversations, which led me to the Enneagram, which led me to understanding my own ego and my personality type, which is brutal because you get to see yourself for like who you really truly are, not who I think I am or who I'm trying to be. And once I realized my own insecurities, my own fears, it was a relief. And that has been the change for me. I meditate a lot. I practice consciousness a ton, and I love it. I used to take a lot of medicine just because I was so stressed all the time and unhealthy. I have half the medicine now.
Yeah.
I sleep better. I don't yell like I used to. I don't get angry about things. It has created such peace for me.
Yeah. Well, you're very different these days. I mean, I can see the difference in you. You had you had an aggressive edge to you, when we first met, I will say. And then
It's
now you're kind of
embarrassing.
like very more chill.
I look back 10 years ago and I was taking everything so seriously. And if I wasn't successful and if I wasn't winning deals, I had no identity, And so that's where I got lost, where it was like, that's not what it's about. And that's not who I am, right? I'm not Sandesh Patel, a sales rep, right? I am something completely different. And so that was great. And thank you for noticing. And I'm so glad that like our friendship, like even through it, like you've seen it, and you would even tell me, you being 10 years senior than me, telling me this is what's going to happen in your life 10 years from now. And the funny thing is it would happen, right? Like that situation.
See me now, believe me later.
So anyways, all to say, then I started at Project 51, and it was like I wanted to learn how to build a brand. So I'm like, what should I do? I want to pick something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm passionate about consciousness. And, we've always talked about mental health in the tech industry and how many people are suffering from it. And I found something that really helped me. And so like, why would I not want to share that with other people? And that's really what it became, right? It's like when people find Ozempic, right? And they can't wait to tell everybody like, oh, I lost weight on Ozempic. Like it's one of those things that you just want to share with everyone because you're like, we could all be skinny, we could all be happy.
You lost emotional weight.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's been a relief. So that's where that happened.
So tell me, what is P51?
Project 51 started as a joke. I have a bunch of buddies that we were all hanging out with about, 4 years ago in the city. And we were all talking about our lives. And here we are, married, children, stress, work, and we're kind of complaining about it, like, oh, I never have time for anything, blah, blah, blah. So one of my friends who's single, he makes this like comment, like, and he's just a hilarious guy, but he's like, you guys just care too much. He's like, if you guys just care less, then, you'd be fine. And we started making a joke about it. We'd see one of our friends kind of getting a little weird about things, and we'd be like, oh, that guy, he's not 51. He's about a 70. He's about an 80 right now. We got to bring him back down, like chill out. It's not to say don't care about things. It's just that we care about the wrong things, just like what I just mentioned before. We as a society are saying, if you're successful, you have a great title, you have a ton of money, if you have all of this power and prestige, that is the key to happiness. And what most people that get to that realize is that's bullshit. And that's where I see 51 kind of playing a role. You should care about your work. You should care about making money. Absolutely. You need it. But don't compromise your integrity and watch the way you treat people. It's a lesson that I've learned, right? It's like, don't start believing in your own BS too much, and just stay as grounded as you can. Not to say don't be ambitious. Like I am doing more now, dude, than I ever have. I got my day job. My kids keep me super busy. 3 kids. I'm doing the P51 stuff, starting Future Connect, which we'll talk about soon. And I'm able to handle it now because mentally, I'm not having these battles inside. So I care, but I also stay grounded. And meditation has been the key. And that's why I keep talking about it. And then that's why you're going to see more stuff on P51 because I just know it works. And if it can help people live their life more peacefully, I think it's good.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the science is there on that for sure. All right, so you mentioned, like you're a part-time monk now, and in addition to being the part-time monk, you're you've got Future Connect going, right? And this is something that's been in the works for a long time. Let's do that founder story that we always used to do. So tell me, like, what was the problem you saw in the market, and what was missing, and why did you jump in to solve that?
Remember when we used to go to the valley and we would make all those trips and we see all those people and we were connecting buyers and sellers, and that's where the value was. The VCs wanted value in understanding what do customers want, what do they need, what are the problems they're trying to solve. Customers are trying to understand where is technology going, how, blah blah blah. And of course, a lot of people in the industry are trying to figure out that too. And that's always been the fun part for me. But when you and I had the Future Showcase in May of 2022, that was...
I think it was April.
I
think it was April 29th of 2020.
That was the Emerge. That was Emerge. Yeah. I'm talking about the Future Showcase when we did...
Oh, the Showcase.
The Showcase that we did at Knollwood. And we got 15 great companies to come there, right? But I learned so much from that. It was May 2022, and the big takeaways were these companies, these great technologies. And remember, man, this is 3 years ago. We had some really baller companies there. Tynes was still small, right? Now they're over $1 billion valuation. Wiz was still new.
Wiz just got acquired
for multi-tens of billions, right? By Google. Rubrik now has gone public. Cribble, here I got some notes here. So Cribble, $3.5 billion valuation now, right? They surpassed 200 million in ARR. Abnormal Security, right? Like all these great technologies, but they're really struggling to get to market in a post-pandemic world. And that was the impetus, was like, okay, so the problem that I want to solve is how do we create value after what happened in 2020? Because the world has changed, but we're still trying to do the same things. We're still trying to do the cold calling. We're still trying to do the conferences and events and blah, blah, blah. And you and I are in the thick of it. And every event starts with, hey guys, get VPs and CIOs to this event, right? And that's a month before. And then the week before, it's like, hey, we'll take the janitor, and if he's got a friend that likes the Blackhawks, invite him. So I just learned through that. Those vendors struggled so hard to get customers there. And so to me, that was the moment where it's like, okay, there needs to be a different way. And I hate to say it this way, but the problem is not salespeople. I know everyone wants to say it. Salespeople, they suck and they don't. The problem is the system that we have. The system that we have inherently has been the same for 3+ decades. We got to change the game. Yeah, probably even more, right? Some customers, I still wonder, like, why do we have this whole go-to-market? There has to be a better way. And so, basically, that was the impetus. I remember calling you. I might have been on a Saturday, and I was just like super excited about Future Connect. Like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna build. Now it's changed completely from the first time that you and I talked about it. And that's been humbling too. But anyways, that's it, right, dude? Is want to get back to what you and I have been doing, which is creating value in the market. And that's fun for me. That's exciting for me. That's like, and I'm a person, right? So like, if I get to meet people, smart people, I get to
For sure.
learn. You know, I'm a type 3 in the Enneagram. So anytime I get those kinds of opportunities, I'm all in. So that's what Future Connect is for me. I'm not approaching it as like, oh, I'm creating a new business. I'm approaching it by saying, let's just go into the market and figure out what problems we can solve here, you know? And let's just get started because we know that it's going to change. AI is changing everything. But just like when cloud came out and everything
Yeah,
else,
for
and you and
sure.
I would hypothesize on what's going to happen to cloud, everyone's doing that with AI now, right? It's like, what's going to happen? And the best part is no one really knows. Even the smartest of the smart don't even really know, right? Like you could talk to the CEOs and founders of Anthropic and Open AI and stuff, and they'll tell you the same thing. It's still so to me, it's like, let's do what you and I've done. Let's just get into it and we'll figure it out. And with the premise being that we connect buyers and sellers, um, specifically with AI companies.
So, okay, so why do you think you are so uniquely talented and special to do this? What gives you the audacity to go out and try and accomplish this?
The one thing is, I do love a challenge, and as you know this too, like I like running after the hard thing, the hard problem to solve, and this is the hardest problem to solve.
Well, that's one of the things that Bipul Sinha used to always say to us. Don't solve the easy problems, solve the hard problems, right?
Yeah. And it's so true. You know, a lot of that philosophy that he has, like we've learned a lot from him. To me, it's been that. It's like, well, let's just get started on something and let's go after the big problem. Like we're all going to work the same amount of hours anyways, right? So we might as well spend it towards things that are challenging and can have reward. That's when I get excited, dude. When you and I have had some of the successes that we've had, which we never would have guessed. We never even knew we would have the success that we had. We were just doing the work. But the work led to these outcomes where it was like,
Right.
oh man, we can do this. And so that's where I get the audacity from it. It's like, yes, it's a different world. Everyone is very, isolated now and separate from each other. But there is a way that we can still connect people. And given my network within the Silicon Valley and just the people that I've known for a long time, calling in Chicago and being a VAR, dude, I love being a VAR. It's the best way for me to understand what's actually happening with customers. That information is the best information. People can talk about AI, but when I'm talking with customers and I'm asking them, hey, so what's your AI strategy? And you start to talk to them, you start to learn, okay, this is where they're getting tripped up. You know, this is how they're approaching it.
Right.
So that's why I'm hoping that just with the skills that I've had over the last 20 some years in sales, that, I can try to do something a little bigger, more valuable. Yeah.
Bring a new
Yeah.
perspective. You've got the battle scars. Now you're going to bring your wisdom.
And dude, I want AI startups to be successful. And I know like when I say this, it's such a sales guy thing to say, right? Oh, we want more sales. Yeah, no shit. But we are in this very peculiar time with AI where we don't know what's going to happen. We know things are going to change radically. We've talked about that social responsibility of it too, right? And bad actors and bad people are going to do bad stuff. So, and even in a more scalable way to America. So, Americans need to understand that this is not something that we can just avoid and say, "Hey, we'll let everyone else figure out AI." As a parent, I want to understand everything with AI so I can understand how to raise my children correctly, and help them through it because the world is changing. So, from my perspective, we need these AI companies to be successful. We need companies in America to understand AI. A CFO, we always talk about calling on the line of business, right? Oh, have you talked to the CFO? Have you talked to, the marketing officer? Have you talked to the operations? You know, uh, we always want those meetings. But now the CFO is interested. How's AI going to impact his job, and his team? What can he do better? How can he do it more effectively? So that to me is
Yeah.
really exciting because the buyer is not just a tech guy. You know, it's It's actually the non-technical person is probably the one that's going to be making that decision, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so okay, so connecting buyers and sellers, that's a little abstract. So let's get into the details. Like
Yeah.
what is Future Connect
So
exactly?
maybe if can I share my screen? Will it record? So once you log in, this is the current UI. We're still in beta, still a lot of work to do, but the general premise is here. We're going to be highlighting 25 companies. The one thing I will really want to point out is it's invite only. Not everyone can join. We want to make sure we're curating it. You and I have always looked at who are the winners, find them early, and promote them. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. So it's more quality than just quantity. If you go to the showcase, let's go to this amazing new startup, Future Connect. You can click on here. You can just get some basic information about them, what their pitch is, what markets they're in. But where the rubber really meets the road to me, and this is what I'm betting on, is data and content is king. So why not just give them the 2-minute pitch? Like over here, if you were to click on this, you would get the Future Connect 2-minute pitch. Here's the first call pitch. If you want the whole pitch, make it 30 minutes, do it well, make it high quality, and let the customers just go see it for themselves. And then there's also a demo as well. Make it quick, let them get the 101. But then after that, the connect is really the book a meeting. They should go to a calendar and just say, hey, now you're enabling the customer to schedule the meeting on their terms. I'm betting on the premise that if we actually give the information to clients, they will be more, first of all, knowledgeable about the companies and more aware of them, but they're more likely to actually take a meeting. And then they get to decide when they want to meet. They're not trying to find the salespeople and everything else. So that is Future Connect in its most simple explanation. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, what like where you it sounds like the focus now is very specific. Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of narrowed your market down a bit. And it sounds like AI is sort of central to
Yeah.
what you're working with here. Is
Yeah.
that accurate?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot. At first, I was looking at the two biggest markets were security and AI. And security's always been confusing. You know that better than anybody. Too many companies, a lot of confusion, too many tools. So that was interesting to me. It's like, how can we make sense of the cybersecurity space? But then what's happened in the last 2 years has been these security vendors are really becoming AI companies. And it's becoming very evident that AI is going to play a huge role in security. And then when I look at
And a
AI,
lot of other things too.
sure, yeah, everything, right? So it's really like, are you going to be a security company or an AI company? And I think that's going to be both. But look at how many AI startups there are. Look, over $500 billion has been put into all these startups. And then when I look at a lot of these startups and I get to know them, there's not a lot of deals. There's so now it
Hmm.
feels like there's technology that has been developed to solve a problem which the customers don't have yet, because the customers, like always, are behind the technology. So to me, this was the right part of the hype cycle to get into AI when everyone's trying to figure it out. And then you and I and others, our advisors and the teams that are helping us, we curate that and we find those AI companies. We try to make sense of it, and we try to enable these customers. I want customers to be able to move faster, transform quicker, adopt new technologies and trends quicker. We have to do that. We have to do that faster. 18 months to deploy a technology, from the beginning of when you look at it to the end of it, it's just too long. It's way too long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that I think what I see in the market is just a lot of confusion about AI. I think that I just had a conversation earlier today about this too. You know, the idea that so many of the AI products are focusing on like the creative aspect of it, and not sort of, you know, taking the mundane tasks away from the people who are using it, and giving them their time back to be more creative and do
Right.
the important work, right? So I think in some regards it's upside
Mm-hmm.
down
Mm-hmm.
right now. But you know, as you point out, it's changing
Mm-hmm.
so fast. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around it. I mean, and I follow it very closely, and I pay attention to it all the time and use it. But it's hard to be on top of everything. It's crazy.
Exactly. And if you and I, who actually care about AI, if you and I are feeling like, well, you aren't as much as I am, I feel intimidated by AI. You know, I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like everybody else is figuring it out, but I'm not. And that is not a good place for me to be. And I think a lot of people are in that same
Yeah.
boat. So, how do we make sense of all of this confusion? I mean, you've talked about this for so long, right? Like, and you study AI deeply, and so you really, really understand it. But the challenge there is you know too much. You have researched it too much. Uh, and so to explain that,
I need to hand it over to AI for it to take over
it, and I do. And
and
by the
summarize
way,
it for
these
me.
are. I'm so excited for you and I to get into more. Just I miss the collaboration that you and I've had, over the years, and so like I'm excited to do this again because
Yeah,
every time you and I talk, we learn. I'm learning. We're making
for
sense
sure.
of what the heck is going on here. And you're just such a great. Like I'm glad that we're doing this podcast together. I need you. You've always been like the smart guy in the room, and I think that's what like when we do our podcast, that's gonna
Uh-oh. We're all in
You
trouble
did
if I'm the
well.
smart guy in the room.
Imagine if it was me, right? That would be way worse. So this is what I'm excited about. I can be the sales guy who I feel very comfortable with. I understand the markets and technology enough, and I love that. And you understand the technologies. So I think it's a good place where now we can bring in these tech companies and to really synthesize. Like I think I understand if you're going to be able to build a good company. The question I have is like, does Chris think that this product has product market fit? That's what I'm
Yeah.
interested in.
And that's a big challenge in the AI space right now. I would say that's probably one of the biggest things I see out there is, you know, companies that are looking to adopt AI, but like there is that product market fit problem, and they're bringing it in because of the, you know, where we are on the hype cycle, and then they're going, what do I do with this? And like,
Right.
am I getting enough value out of this, right? Because
Exactly.
they haven't really thought about their use cases entirely.
Sol Rashidi is like a AI guru. She has been an executive, chief digital officer, AI officer, all that kind of stuff. She runs AI for Amazon, and she put something in a post a few weeks ago. See, this is the kind of stuff that excites me because she's saying in there like customers are always looking for ROI. They're looking for this return on investment. That if I spend $1 million on AI, how much money am I going to save, or how much money am I going to earn more? Which is a very, you know, smart, practical way of going about it. The challenge that I am seeing with AI is that we still don't know how it's going to help us make money, save money. We still don't know the problems with it. Customers are still just starting to get started. They got to get that foundation. Can you even put your data into an AI, right? Like legally, compliance wise, can you do that? Is it wise to do that?
Yeah.
If you're going to use AI, like so many customers want 100% predictability, right? And an AI can't offer that, right? So um, when she mentioned that, that's where I think is gets exciting again. Because to me is this might be the one technology in my sales career that I do think that there's going to be that 10x multiplier. Where if we can sell $1 million
Mhm.
AI solution, but it helps the customer make 10 million or save 10 million, that and that is why I think when Novel Ravikant and all these Silicon Valley studs will say the next $1 billion business with 5, 10 people on the in the company is right around the corner. Bipple just put something on LinkedIn yesterday that there's going to be the first $1 trillion security company, in the market. And so I hear that and it just excites me. It's like, wow, there's a tremendous opportunity to create value here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the focus has been around the large language models, the
Yeah,
LLMs, right? And that market is rapidly commoditizing. I just saw a stat that said, like just a couple of years ago, it was $20 for a million tokens, and now it's 7 cents for a million tokens. So, I mean, that's rapid commodification.
totally.
And so I think the real business winners are going to be outside the world of just the LLMs. It's going to be the stuff that utilizes that. But I think that's a commodity technology already, and in just like a couple of years. It's crazy,
Totally.
but it shows you how fast everything's moving, and it opens a world of other potential products and use cases and things like that, where the really interesting stuff is going to be happening
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Totally. I still find it surprising that some customers still want to build their own LLM.
Well, you can. I mean, it's not, the instructions and
For
the data
sure.
is out there. I mean, it's like it's not that hard to do, but why
Exactly.
would you
Like
do it?
especially if you're just going to get started on things, like you say this all the time, and so many entrepreneurs will say the hardest thing is to get started, right? Like pick
Yeah,
something
for sure.
small, you know, give your chance of
Get
give
going.
yourself a chance of success, you know? And that's why like with Future
Yeah.
Connect 2 for me, it's like I'm just trying to pick something very specific, right? And keep it as simple as possible.
Well, it sounds like you've learned a lot of lessons from your rookie year entrepreneur endeavor.
I know you're like
Like,
tongue in cheek on that one because you're just enjoying me suffer through the entrepreneurship. But yeah,
no, well, it's funny. I mean, when we first met way back when, I remember like saying to you, like, you're kind of more of an
Mm.
entrepreneur, you know, and you're like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. And here we are.
It's a trip.
Hear me now, believe me later.
There are so many things that you've said 10 years ago that have come true now that like that's why I trust you, Even though I don't like to hear what you're saying, sometimes I take it very seriously. You're right. I didn't have this ambition to be an entrepreneur. But then as like I've gotten older and part of my midlife crisis and everything else, I feel like we have one life to live, man. And I'm getting older and older, and I see people getting sick around me, and just life is hard and challenging, and I feel like it's too short, just way too short. And I just have a lot of things I want to do, and so I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines and just be like, yeah, I'll get to it, after I retire. Instead, my new attitude is, why not now? Just get started, right? That's
Yeah.
why P51, that's why future, like just get started. So what have I learned? I learned a shit ton. So I first started this whole, I had the idea. You and I talked about it. You confirmed that it could have some legs. I then reached out to Sanjay, my cousin, he just started his own incubator here in Chicago called TechX, and he's been a multi-time founder himself. So he would come to my house. I'm not kidding. He'd come here like 5 in the morning, and he wakes up at 3. It's very annoying.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But I would be meeting with him at 5 in the morning, going through whiteboard after whiteboard, and he'd come over the next time. We'd go, and we just kept iterating. And bro, that was hard. I just wanted to get the ideation was very, very challenging. But here's the biggest lesson that I learned. Where I started, so now in 2023 is when we really started on Future Connect, so over 2 years ago now. And where we are now, totally different. And so much of
Yeah.
it is because of AI. So the amount of pivots that I had to make has been crazy. This is some of the best
Yeah.
lessons that I have learned. To get my ass kicked by AI, like at first it made me sad, but then it was like, wow, I'm starting to learn what AI can do. And
Yeah.
ChatGPT has just, it took away about 50% of the value proposition that I wanted to create, you know? Um, So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's not a problem that needs to be solved. So what is the problem that needs to be solved? So yes, I've been humbled. It's been hard. I've never, developed software, in the cloud in AWS. Have Ryan Quick. He's an amazing CTO for me, and he's helping me build there. He's introduced me to all these developers in India, and Sandesh introduced me to the marketing people, and Brian Clever is the one who helped me get Future Connect going from a marketing perspective. So there's been a lot of just learning on the job, and so for me to say that it's all been simple, easy, and worked the way I wanted it to, not even close. And here's the reality: what I think now and where this product or where Future Connect goes, it's going to be different than what it is today. I know it is,
Yeah.
but I just want to get started.
Yeah, and then that's what I was just gonna say. I think that speaks to the point you were making is you got to get started because you have to see your ideas in the
Yeah,
real world and have them
right.
tested. Otherwise, you're just fantasizing in your basement.
Exactly. And getting, because of the way you and I go about this process of finding the money, who's getting the money? Oh, who are the VCs behind these people, right? You and I now know this enough and know that community enough that when we see certain people invest in certain companies, we take extra time to really pay attention to what they're doing. And luckily, you and I have a big network where we've been able to tap into those people. Like, if we can go tap into the VC world, we can tap into the customers. Like, what are customers actually trying to solve for? What are these vendors building for? What are the problems that these AI vendors are solving? And at some point there, I'm sure there's going to be a consolidation or whatever, right? But I think if we collect the right data, like, and you and I are very close to the sales side of things too. You and I have seen when a real strong CRO or a VP of sales will go to a early stage startup like a Brian O'Shea, and then right away that company has credibility. You start seeing salespeople going over there, really good salespeople. You and I start to see that trend, and then we talk to those people and say, "Are you really selling stuff?" You know, and once we get that data, that's the best data. It's like, okay, so it's not just you have a bunch of money and really cool, smart people, but people are actually paying for your product. That's exciting. Like, that's why I get excited for companies like Glean, right? Like, they're just growing so quickly. Like, getting to 100 million ARR, man, in 3 years. That's pretty cool, you know?
That is crazy.
It is crazy. So, yeah, man, a lot of lessons learned here for sure.
So okay, what's next for Future? I mean, you just literally said you have no idea, what's going to happen next, and that you're going to have to pivot. But that said, what would you say is next? Where's this going next?
I am finally at the point, man, where I almost have a product, right? There's almost Future Connect is almost, it's in a beta where it's going to be a product. And just that's now is giving me the chance to start doing the marketing around it. And so, and the marketing has been a moving target, man. Like we just talked
Yeah.
about, trying to find product market fit with AI is, it's a moving target, and you're just trying to figure out where is that going to land. So for me, it's now, let's get the marketing around it. You and I get this podcast going. We've already got 5 companies that are onboarded onto the platform, and we're gonna, as we're inviting more and more of them, we'll start giving it to them. We'll start getting that feedback that you mentioned, which is something I've been lacking, which is really getting into the hands of the vendors. So that's what's next, man. Create the brand around it, the marketing around it, just get started. And I'm excited. I got great marketing teams and great engineering team. And I'm learning a crap ton, right? So I think I've surrounded myself with the right people. And you, as our chief evangelist, I feel like the 2 years, even though it's been it's been hard. I'm excited because I finally am starting to see the reward. So it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I think this is exciting stuff. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. So if people want to try this out or want to get into the beta, where should they go?
Yeah, so they can go to futureconnect.io, and future is FUTR, connect.io. And they can also just reach out to me directly. We're still small, right? Like these podcasts that we have, set up, it's all, I know these founders and I'm working with them. They've been reaching out and we've been talking to them. People are already reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and other people are introducing me to other people and saying, hey, this is a company that's an AI company. We'd love, I think that they would love your platform. So that momentum is building, and that's good. I would just say reach out directly to me. Like, it's more important for me to have quality versus quantity. What I don't want Future Connect to become is just this pile of information, for people just to go tap into. I want it to have credence. I want it to have equity with people's minds that, okay, if Future Connect thinks this is a good company, we should really look at them. Our track record has kind of shown that. So now we're just playing the same game. You and I are still playing the same game. It's just in a different veneer.
Yeah, the mighty influencer is taking over the sales world now.
Yeah. Well, you were saying
it's always been the game. Anyways.
You were saying 7-8 years ago, you were saying that the influencer will be the new salesperson. Remember, you were making those comments, right? And I was halfway laughing at that, but then when you got us into the podcast game and all that kind of stuff, look at what happened from that. The amount of people reaching out to us, like that was incredible, right? So I think there's something to that. Like, that's the value that we create, and I'm willing to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong a lot, but I'm not afraid of that anymore. I'm not afraid of failing, and I'm not afraid of what people think about me. Like, that makes me kind of dangerous, honestly, because like I don't care. Like, I just want to be honest. And if I can't be honest and be true to myself, then I'm a sellout. That's like the other sales guys, right? Say anything to get a deal. That's not me.
Well, it sounds like you've discovered a lot of freedom for yourself, and like like in inner peace that's driving all the things you do forward. So that's a very cool thing.
It is
hard to achieve. Maybe not as hard as everybody thinks it is, but
yeah,
it looks like it takes a lot of work, but
hard to achieve and to
congratulations.
sustain, man. It's like you don't just you can call it an awakening or whatever, but you just don't get an awakening and then it's just easy. From there, man, it's even harder, right? It's like now it's like, okay, how do I stay consistent on this, and how do I keep the peace in my life, and not let outside influences affect me? It's not easy, man. I still get jealous and I still have my ego, and like I love winning and hate losing and all those kinds of things, but those are things that I need to be able to manage better than I did before.
Well, hey, congratulations for getting to this point.
You.
And this is exciting stuff. I can't wait. When do you anticipate the launch here?
Well, I'm anticipating that at least we get our social going in May. You and I have 4 podcasts coming up, awesome ones. So get those recorded, start getting social going. I think in May, we better be in May. We'll be out there and starting to get the followers, and I'm gonna have to say the kind of stuff that like and subscribe and follow. I'm gonna have to play that game.
Like, subscribe, and follow, man.
But thank you,
and comment,
Chris,
and share.
Chris, I also just want to say, like, thank you for not just the friendship. Like, the friendship I think is like a no-brainer, but not a lot of people can deal with me, and you give me the space to debate things with you and learn from you and all those things. And that, without you being part of Future Connect, I would feel very I would be intimidated, because I need that person like you that can help me through this journey. So thank you.
Well, likewise, my friend. It's always been a pleasure knowing you over all these years.
Amazing.
And it's been a great experience.
Amazing.
So. Awesome. On to more and better.
That's right.
Right? All right.
Well, that's the show. But before you roll, sales pitch warning. We're building more than a brand here. We're building a community. So your support means everything to us. So please like, comment, subscribe, follow, and also reach out to us directly. We want to hear from you. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time.